Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh and salam sejahtera. In this part 2 video, we are going to continue our lessons on security and business continuity, right? So just to recap, this topic is about how firms can secure their IT assets against malice and disaster, right? So this topic will explain why the strongest of security technology leaves firms vulnerable to security breaches, and how non-IT managers can help protect their firm's IT assets in ways that IT managers cannot. Okay. So in this video, we continue our lesson on these two agendas, right? Which are why technical safeguards fail and security as exercise in business trade-offs. Okay, why technical only approaches fail? Normally, conventional technical approaches to IT security are using something that you know, uh, for example, password or access code, or something that you have, for example, an ATM card or smart card, and something that you are, for example, your unique fingerprint or retina scan. Okay, so it is more secure when these three credentials are combined to what we call multi-factor authentication. All right. So basically, outside attacks rely primarily on getting hold of these first two factor, which are know and have. All right. So generally, firm will do two things to safeguard themselves against outside attacks. Okay. Let's say we take credit card industry as example, right? So the first one is intrusion detection tools that identify patterns of suspicious activity. For example, numerous failed login attempts. The second one is intrusion prevention tools that instantaneously block access if they detect such a pattern. All right. So basically, such this monitoring anomaly detection are standard in the IT security arsenal, right? And the routine is patching newly discovered vulnerabilities in purchase software. But the thing is, it defenseless against legitimate password, which is social engineered password. Okay. Skilled hackers prefer social engineering because it is easier to fool a human than to fool a machine. Okay. And rough insiders, meaning that even fingerprints, retina scans can prevent attacks from outsiders, but not from rough insiders. Okay, so the conventional technical approaches to IT security is overemphasize identifiable security risks, which can lull firms into unfounded complacency, meaning that the firm feel not satisfied and not safe. 5 non-technical security vulnerabilities. Okay, even the most comprehensive IT security can fail because of these 5 non-technical reasons. Right? The first one is treating it as a technical and it is IT unit problem. Okay, basically, most firms erroneously treat IT security as one of the IT unit's responsibility. Therefore, this results in no protection against number one risk, which is human blunders. All right. Okay, to avoid human blunders, it requires fostering a firm-wide culture of responsibility and awareness among business users. For example, you must reinforce it with training or by giving incentive to them, right? Okay, next is the second reason, they overlook the insider threat. Okay, it is about the real danger is from your own employees and connected business partners in your firm. Okay, the breaches can be accidental, slip-ups or intentional actions by a malicious or disgruntled employee. Okay, and insider attacks are the single largest IT security vulnerability because they have easier access and more opportunities. All right. So to tackle insider threats, you must put yourself in the shoes of a disgruntled employee and a hacker. Okay. The safeguards against insider threats are stronger internal controls and user awareness, both of which require non-IT managers' contribution, right? Meaning that non-IT managers must define what data is more sensitive and what apps are critical to their line function activities. Okay, next is the third one, porous interfirm boundary with business partners. Okay, basically sharing data across interconnected supply chains make data more valuable but also more vulnerable. And increased connectivity of your firm's IT system with your business partner systems can weakest link defines vulnerability. Okay, meaning that your own IT security depends on other firm system that you cannot control. Okay, so the weakest link defines the vulnerability of an interconnected supply chain, and because of the weak defenses in one partner firm, will allow hacker command a device in their IT portfolio to cripple your firm. Okay. Okay. Next is the fourth reason: imbalance between convenience and security. Okay, it is basically about underprotection makes your firm's IT assets vulnerable, and overprotection can inconvenience your employees and customers. Okay, basically the delicate trade-off is balancing protection of sensitive data and the risk of hacking users with excessive security. And this is a business decision, okay, not a technical one to be left to your IT unit. Therefore, non-IT managers don't explicitly make a trade-off between security and convenience. Okay, the last reason is the Internet of Things. Okay, computationally lean devices, large data traffic makes them vulnerable, meaning that the weaker computing power of such devices invariably limits their security software to being rudimentary, and the large volume of internet traffic that they produce can make it harder to detect attacks, right? Okay, this slide is about second reason of non-technical security vulnerabilities, which is overlooking insider threats, right? As I mentioned in the previous slide, the real danger is from your own employees and connected business partners in your firms. So, what insider threats safeguard? Okay, basically to tackle insider threats, you must put yourself in the shoes of disgruntled employee and a hacker, right? So, the safeguard against insider threat are stronger internal controls and user awareness, which is both require non-IT managers' contribution. Non-IT manager can help tailor IT security policy to your firm's priorities and ask the IT unit for differentiated protection based on the business importance of particular IT assets. All right? And non-IT managers must determine the appropriate access privilege for apps and data for individual users in their line functions. Okay, this involves decisions about who can access what data, what they can do with it, and when and where. Okay, so the simplest way to secure data assets is by creating tiers of access privileges specific to your firm. Okay, and generic security. Generic security policies produce generic protection. Okay, next is the IT unit should not create such policies, but only implement them. Okay, so these are the 6 other practices. Okay, the first one is monitor for suspicious activities. The second one, encrypt data in transit and storage. Next is wall off systems with truly sensitive data. Unlink sensitive data from unlink sensitive data from other data. Anonymize sensitive data if only aggregates needed for analytics. And refrain from collecting excessive data just because you can. Okay, prepping for a security crisis. Okay, moments of crisis require special skills, which is rarely used in day-to-day activities, right? So, non-IT managers can play an integral role in 3 important ways to prepare their own line functions for responding to an IT security breach, which is the first one, advanced preparation, meaning that advanced dress rehearsal of how you would handle a security incident internally and externally to minimize its damage. Okay. The second one is swift response, meaning that fast reaction. Okay, basically slow response can be far more damaging than the breach itself. The first few hours count at the most in mitigating damage. Okay, get outside help to objectively evaluate the situation, quickly notify affected users, and shut down operational IT system if a data breach is ongoing. Okay, the third one is focus on the long term. Okay, basically it matters more how your firm handle the situation and assuring customers what you will do to prevent if from ever happening again. Okay, basically a good faith effort counts in the long term. Okay, be honest in communicating with your customers and employees, because misinformation or inaccurate information eventually backfires. Okay, next topic is business continuity and disaster recovery. Okay, IT environments are replaced with redundancies and backups that kick in if a specific piece of hardware fails. All right. So, business continuity plan is concerned with the disruption of the entire environment by unexpected disasters such as hurricanes, blackouts, fires, flood, earthquakes, or other acts of gods. Just as you keep a spare tire in your car and a fire extinguisher at home, planning for them is insurance against the worst that you hope to never need. Okay, so business continuity plan is basically a tactical plan for resuming your operations after a catastrophe, right? Basically, you have to boil a business continuity plan down to core business risks that can derail your firm's revenue stream. Okay, and it must cover every line functions activities, especially primary value chain activities. Okay, and business continuity planning relies on a backup site to which your firm can switch if disaster strikes. Okay. Okay, this diagram shows about the faster you can switch over your firm's critical IT operations to backup sites, the costlier it is. All right. So non-IT managers' choice or decision depends on what makes business sense. Okay. Okay. Now we look at the hot side. Hot site is a fully operational, which is instantaneously reusable replica of your firm's mission critical IT assets, right? And it is harder for custom build. Okay, so the cold site is the opposite extreme, which is inexpensive and slow startup. Okay, and it requires setup when needed because it includes neither hardware or software. Okay, for warm site, it is more cheaper to maintain than a hot site and more expensive than cold sites, which includes mission critical apps, hardware, and lag data. However, in warm site, the data is not current and their scale is smaller than hot site. Okay, so again, a non-IT manager's judgment should drive the option that makes most business sense. Okay. Okay, next is non-IT contributions to continuity planning. There are three questions determine ongoing cost acceptable for scope and responsiveness. The first one is what IT assets are critical? Okay, usually it is for mission critical IT apps and data, which began with vulnerable primary activities in your value chain, and it includes employees, contractors, and business partners, and it prioritizes key IT assets individually. Okay. Next question is recovery time objectives, which is how long can you withstand interruption in each of them, and how quickly before irreversible loss of public trust. Okay. The last question is recovery point objective, which is how old can the recovery data be and how much data loss tolerable. Okay, so please remember that IT system produce most federal compliance data. Okay, okay, now we summarize this chapter with three key takeaways, right? The first one is IT insecurity is unavoidable. All right, comes with value creating connectivity, meaning that the connectivity that makes IT valuable also makes it vulnerable, okay? Such as risk derailing firms' operations, business survival, and public trust, and also breaches mostly human failings, right? Human more hackable than machines, and overconfidence in technical solutions, okay? The second one is IT security is not just IT responsibility, nor solely technical problems. Okay. The last key is non-IT involvement contributes what IT cannot. Okay, which are the first one, prioritize what's worth protecting more. Okay, mitigates business consequences, and strikes the right security convenience balance. Okay, so by these summarizations, I end this video with Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and salam sejahtera. Thank you.